วัสดีค่ะ The WHO identifies alcohol consumption and its related harm as a major concern. But at the same time, new marketing strategies by producers evolve all the time as well. I discussed with researchers in this field how best can we mitigate drinking. What are the marketing trends of alcohol promotion in developing countries?
Well, one of the things that is probably most significant has been the change in, if you like, the breakthrough of digital media and social media. So for the first time in the last year or so, we have more money being spent on digital advertising through the new channels than traditional media. So effectively, we're into a whole new era of advertising, whereby it's taking place where people can have social media, where they're using, have brand communities and stuff, which is taking place on almost a one-to-one basis, whereas the traditional media and all of the regulatory industries were based around sort of traditions like TV and cinema, which was very much a captive audience. Now we have one which is almost an audience of one-to-one rather than one-to-many.
Yeah, the thing about this type of marketing is it's a lot more targeted. So if you do advertising through Facebook, you can target a very specific demographic. So if you want to target young males aged 18 to 25 who are fans of sport, you can do that through digital and social media, which you cannot do with TV advertising. The other thing about this type of marketing, where most of the marketing spend is switching, is that it's almost below the radar. It's not easy to track it and monitor it. It's easy enough to kind of identify what type of marketing goes on TV, but for example, understanding what kind of sponsorship activities are going on or what sort of Facebook marketing is going on is very difficult to do. It's very difficult to track that. Yeah. So we still don't know as much about what sort of effect this type of marketing is having. But the theory is that it's probably more effective and sort of driving behaviours more powerfully than other types of advertising.
Yeah. So you have peer-to-peer, so it's almost like the influence of word of mouth and friends. So through social networking, it's actually very, very powerful. Has a lot more credibility when your friends are talking about brands and trends and fashions and so forth. Whereas, so that's a slightly different dialogue, whereas before in traditional, when you saw a poster, it was there, you could see it. There was an opportunity that people would just go by and have a look. But now it's almost they can target the message specifically to you almost as an individual. And not only that, but they've got lots and lots of data about you, from analysing who your friends are, what sort of things are you're interested in, whether it's bands or music or sport, and therefore the targeting of the advertising is much more personal and much more effective.
So this is a worrying trend then?
Yes, I mean this is a trend that we're seeing all around the world, in developing countries and developed countries as well. And what we're seeing specifically in developing countries that's different from countries like the UK and the US is that the type of marketing messages and the content is different. We've found evidence in the study that we did examining examples of alcohol marketing in developing countries that they're using certain appeals and certain content in advertising that's not permitted in developed countries. So linking alcohol with sexual success, with sporting success, with social success, with strength and power, with virility, aggression, all these types of links between alcohol and these social phenomenons that are not permitted in more regulated systems in the developed world. So although there are similarities between what alcohol producers are doing between the developing world and the developed world, there are differences in the tactics that they use and the content of the messages.
Yeah. So can you please give specific examples?
Yes, for example, if you take which is owned by which is a global alcohol producer, and they have a global CSR, corporate social responsibility strategy in place. Now, when they operate and they market brands like in the UK, they adhere to all the regulations that are in place, and they say that they are a leading proponent of this type of socially responsible behaviour. But when they market in Nigeria, they actually use an actor whose name is Michael Power, and they use his sort of name and his imagery a lot in the advertising to reinforce that it's a powerful drink, it's a powerful brand, it can help your virility, you know, and it's
macho.
It's very macho,
yes.
and these are all appeals that you're not allowed to use in the UK. So on the one hand, they're saying we have a CSR policy, we behave very responsibly, but they do that in the UK, but they don't do that in developing countries like Nigeria and in Thailand. They sponsor many events where they use, you know, scantily clad like females who, you know, dressed in suspenders and so on. So they're linking alcohol with sexual success, which again you're not allowed to do.
So the codes are very specific on all of these themes. So we said that they specifically say that you can't have your ads appeal to youth or youth interests. So, you know, if it's related to sports or music, it's quite heavily controlled. Whereas what we found when we looked across different examples of advertising and marketing that's going on, all of these themes are very much at the heart of it. So even in the names of the brand, there will be things about strength, which basically suggests the strength of the alcohol, where again the codes in the UK and also in Europe would actually say that would be you know, unethical to do that.